The council chamber was quiet when Queen arrived. She wore a dark cloak that hid her face, but everyone could feel the sadness coming from her. The alien leaders sitting around the massive table stopped talking and stared. A queen had not visited the Galactic Council in over 300 years. Something terrible must have happened. Lieutenant Ho stood near the back wall, watching everything. He was not supposed to be in this meeting. He was just a human military officer assigned to protect Ambassador Haewon Park. But when the Queen entered, something changed in the air. Ho felt his chest tighten. He had seen that kind of pain before, on the faces of parents who had lost their children in war. Ambassador Park stood up and bowed. "Your Majesty, this is unexpected. How can the council help you?" Queen removed her cloak. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to glow softly. Her eyes were large and silver, filled with tears that did not fall. "My daughters are gone," she said. Her voice was quiet, but everyone heard it clearly. "The syndicate took them 5 days ago. They want me to surrender my throne. If I refuse, they will kill Ancora." The room exploded with noise. Alien counselors spoke over each other in a dozen different languages. Ho watched them argue about politics and procedures. No one talked about saving the children. "Your Majesty," a tall gray alien said, "the syndicate has powerful friends. If the council acts against them, it could start a war. We need time to discuss this properly." "Time?" Queen's voice broke. "My daughters do not have time. They are children. They are scared and alone." "Then use your own military," another counselor suggested. "The Empire has thousands of ships. Our military cannot act without consensus from all our noble houses," the Queen explained. "That process takes months. My daughters will be dead by then." Ambassador Park looked uncomfortable. "Your Majesty, I wish Earth could help, but we have treaties. We cannot interfere in other species' conflicts without council approval." Ho had heard enough. He stepped forward from his position at the wall. "I will go." Every alien in the room turned to look at him. Ambassador Park's face went red. "Lieutenant, you are out of line. Return to your post immediately." But Queen was staring at Ho with wide eyes. Her telepathic senses reached out and touched his mind gently. What she felt there made her gasp. This human's thoughts burned with protective rage. It was pure and fierce, unlike anything she had encountered in any species across the galaxy. His mind held no doubt, no fear for himself, only determination to help someone in pain. "You would risk your life for daughters you have never met?" the Queen asked softly. "Yes," Ho said simply. "Children should not suffer because adults are too afraid to act." "Lieutenant, this is not your decision to make," Ambassador Park said firmly. "You cannot just run off on an unauthorized rescue mission." "Then fire me," Ho replied. "I will go anyway." The other counselors began arguing again. They talked about regulations and proper channels. They discussed political consequences and diplomatic protocols. None of them talked about 3 scared children waiting to die. Queen walked across the chamber until she stood directly in front of Ho. She was taller than him, but somehow he seemed bigger. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this?" Ho thought about the question. He remembered his own sister, taken by raiders when he was young. He remembered the feeling of helplessness while adults debated what to do. By the time they decided to act, it was too late. He would not let that happen again. "Because someone has to," he finally said, "and everyone else here is too busy talking." The Queen closed her eyes. Through her telepathy, she felt the truth in his words. She also felt something else. This human understood loss. He understood what it meant to fail someone you loved. That pain drove him now, pushing him to act when others would not. "I will come with you," Queen announced. "Absolutely not," 3 counselors shouted at once. "You cannot protect yourself out there," Ambassador Park added. "Your Majesty, please be reasonable." "I have been reasonable my entire life," the Queen said coldly. "I followed every rule and tradition, and now my children are gone. Reason has failed me. Perhaps it is time to try something different. She looked down at Ho. I sense you have friends who can help other humans with your same intensity. Ho nodded. 2 people, they owe me favors, big ones. Then we will need a ship, Queen said. I know where to get one. Ambassador Park tried one more time. Lieutenant, if you do this, Earth will not support you. You will be on your own. The Council will not send help if you fail. Good, Ho said. I work faster without committees slowing me down. The other aliens looked shocked by his rudeness, but Queen felt something else through her telepathy. She felt relief. For the first time in 5 days, she had hope. This strange human with his fierce protective instincts did not care about politics or consequences. He only cared about bringing her daughters home safely. We leave immediately, Ho said. Every hour we waste puts them in more danger. Queen nodded. Her royal guards, who had been standing silently near the door, moved to follow her. They did not trust this human, but they trusted their queen. If she believed in him, they would support her decision. As they left the council chamber, Ambassador Park called out one last time. Ho, you are making a terrible mistake. This will destroy your career. Ho stopped at the door and looked back. I did not join the military for a career, Ambassador. I joined to protect people who cannot protect themselves. That includes 3 little girls who do not deserve to die because their mother asked for help from the wrong people. Outside the council station, Queen breathed deeply. The station's artificial air tasted strange, but she felt lighter than she had in days. She looked at the human walking beside her and felt his determination like a warm fire. Your people are strange, she said quietly. The galaxy considers humans dangerous because you feel emotions so strongly, but I think that is what makes you powerful. Ho smiled grimly. The Syndicate is about to learn exactly how dangerous humans can be when you threaten children. They made a mistake taking your daughters, Your Majesty. Now they will pay for it. Queen believed him, and for the first time since her daughters disappeared, she felt like they might actually survive this nightmare. The ship waiting at Dock 17 was old and from countless battles. Captain Wujin stood at the airlock, arms crossed over his chest. When he saw Ho approaching with an alien queen and her guards, he did not look surprised. He just sighed deeply. I knew you would come asking for something crazy, Wujin said. I told myself, one day Ho will show up and ask me to fly into certain death, and here you are. I saved your life on station, Ho reminded him. I know, that is why I am already loading fuel and weapons. Wujin looked at Queen and bowed slightly. Your Majesty, welcome aboard the Iron Will. She is not pretty, but she flies fast and hits hard. Queen studied the ship's captain. He was older than Ho, with scars on his face and gray in his hair, but his mind felt similar. The same protective fire burned inside him, though quieter and more controlled. You will help us rescue my daughters. Ho asks, I answer, Wujin said simply. That is how it works. They boarded the ship and found another human waiting in the engine room. Nasong was young, barely 20 years old, but her hands moved over the ship's controls like a musician playing an instrument. She did not look up when they entered. Ho called out, I need you. I know, she replied, still focused on her work. Ambassador Park already sent me a message saying you went rogue, figured you would need someone to hack systems. She finally turned around and grinned. Besides, you got me out of prison. I owe you everything. The guards whispered among themselves. They had expected professional soldiers, not a ship captain and a convicted criminal. Queen heard their doubts but said nothing. She trusted Ho's judgment. Tell me about the Syndicate, Ho said as they gathered around the ship's main table. A holographic map appeared above it, showing the galaxy's outer sectors. Wujin pointed to a dark region filled with asteroid fields. They operate in the Shattered Reach. No government has authority there. No laws except survival. They built their empire on kidnapping and extortion. They are very good at it. How do we find them? Queen asked. We do not find them directly, Na explained. They have dozens of bases scattered across the reach, but they need supplies, food, weapons, fuel. They use a network of smugglers to move goods. If we follow the supply chain, we follow it to your daughters. Ho nodded slowly. So we need to capture a smuggler and make them talk. That could take weeks, one of the guards said. We do not have that kind of time. Then we do it fast, Ho replied. He looked at Na. Can you track supply ships? Already done, she said proudly. I have been monitoring their communications since yesterday. There is a supply convoy leaving the Reach tomorrow morning. 3 ships carrying medical supplies and food. Medical supplies, Queen whispered, for my daughters. Maybe, Ho said gently, or maybe for their guards. Either way, those ships know where the bases are. Wu Jin studied the map. We cannot attack 3 ships at once. We need to separate them. Leave that to me, Na said. Her fingers danced across her controls. I can send a fake distress signal. Make it look like a damaged freighter needs help. Pirates love easy targets. 1 ship will break away to investigate. The plan was simple but risky. They would ambush the supply ship, capture the crew, and force them to reveal the location of the bases. The guards looked uncomfortable. Their people did not use such direct methods. They preferred negotiation and diplomacy. But Queen felt something different. She felt hope. These humans did not waste time with complicated plans. They saw a problem and attacked it directly. It was brutal but effective. The next morning, the Iron Will waited in the shadow of a dead planet. Na sent out her fake distress signal. They did not have to wait long. A supply ship appeared, moving slowly toward the false freighter. Now, Ho said quietly. Wu Jin pushed the engines to full power. The Iron Will shot out from behind the planet like a bullet. The ship tried to run, but Na had already locked their controls. They were stuck in space, helpless. Boarding teams ready, Ho ordered. He wore combat armor and carried 2 weapons. The guards followed him to the airlock, their own equipment looking strange and elegant compared to human military gear. They cut through the ship's hull in seconds. Inside, they found 6 aliens trying to reach their weapons. Ho moved faster. His gun fired 3 times and 3 fell. The others surrendered immediately. What happened next shocked the guards. Ho grabbed the largest and slammed him against the wall. Where are the princesses? He demanded. I don't know what you're talking about, the alien lied. Ho's face remained calm, but his voice dropped lower. You have 5 seconds to tell me the truth. Then I start breaking bones. 1, 2. You cannot torture me, the said nervously. There are laws against. 3, 4. The alien's confidence broke. Humans had a reputation for violence that made even the nervous. They are on. Whereon Ho pressed. The Fortress Moon. Overlord keeps high-value prisoners there. That is all I know, I swear. Ho released him and stepped back. He had not actually hurt the prisoner, but the threat was enough. The guards stared in amazement. They had not seen anyone extract information so quickly. Back on the Iron Will, Na brought up information about. It is a fortress, she said grimly. Shields, weapons, automated defenses. They have been building it for 20 years. No one has ever successfully attacked it. Then we will be the first, Ho said. Wu Jin laughed without humor. You make it sound easy. It is not about easy, it is about necessary. Ho looked at Queen. Your daughters are there, so that is where we are going. Queen felt tears in her eyes again, but this time they were not from sadness. How do we breach an impenetrable fortress? The same way we breach anything, Ho replied. We do not ask permission, we do not follow their rules. We find the weakness they think does not exist and we exploit it. He smiled grimly. That is the human way. The guards exchanged glances. They were beginning to understand why the galaxy both feared and respected humans. These strange beings did not accept the word impossible. They simply refused to believe it existed. How long until we reach? Queen asked. 3 days, Wu Jin answered. 3 days to plan the impossible. Ho nodded. Then we better start planning. As the Iron Will jumped into hyperspace, racing toward the fortress moon, Queen stood alone on the observation deck. She watched the stars streak past and felt Ho's determination burning in her telepathic senses. He would save her daughters or die trying. There was no doubt in his mind, no fear for himself. The galaxy had rules, the galaxy had procedures, but humans, she realized, only had one rule that mattered: protect those who cannot protect themselves. Everything else was just noise. Looked like a metal moon, covered in weapons and shields. The fortress hung in space, surrounded by automated defense platforms. Wu Jin stared at the displays showing hundreds of gun turrets and missile launchers. "This is suicide," he muttered. "No," Ho said, "this is the only way." He turned to Queen. "Your Majesty, I need you to trust me completely. Can you do that?" The Queen nodded. "Tell me what you need." "I need you to become bait." Ho explained his plan. They would not attack the fortress. Instead, they would deliver a prisoner, the most valuable prisoner in the galaxy, Queen herself. The guards immediately protested. "You cannot ask Her Majesty to surrender to these criminals." "I am not asking," Ho said firmly. "The Queen decides." He looked directly at the "want you." "They will lower their shields to bring you inside. That is when we strike." Queen felt fear crawl through her body. She would have to put chains on her wrists and walk into the enemy's fortress. Everything in her wanted to refuse. But then she thought of Cora, alone and scared. What would she not do to save them? "I agree," she said quietly. "Do what you must." Nup prepared fake identification codes that made the Iron Will look like a mercenary ship. Ho dressed in stolen armor taken from the supply ship. Wu Jin looked like a bounty hunter. Queen wore chains that looked real but could be broken with one hard pull. As they approached, a harsh voice came over the communications. "State your business." "We have Queen," Ho lied smoothly. "Overlord wanted her alive. We are delivering her now." There was a long silence. Then the voice returned, excited. "You captured the Queen. Bring her to Docking Bay 7. Overlord will want to see this personally." The shields opened just enough to let them through. The Iron Will landed inside a massive hangar filled with ships. Ho, Wu Jin, and 2 guards disguised as prisoners walked down the ramp with Queen between them. 50 soldiers waited, weapons ready. A tall alien with dark red skin stepped forward. "I am Lieutenant to Overlord. Show me the Queen's face." Ho pulled back's hood. They gasped when they recognized her, smiled cruelly. "The great Queen captured like a common criminal. Overlord will be pleased. Bring her to the holding cells." They walked through cold metal corridors. Ho counted guards and memorized exits. Na, still on the ship, hacked into security systems. Through a hidden earpiece, she whispered directions. "The princesses are 3 levels down, cell block 9. When they reached the elevator, Ho made his move. His hand shot out, grabbing his weapon. Before anyone could react, he fired twice. 2 guards fell. Wu Jin and the soldiers attacked the others. Queen broke her fake chains and used her telepathic powers to confuse the nearest. The fight lasted seconds. Soon all the guards were unconscious. "We have maybe 5 minutes before someone notices," Wu Jin said. They ran down the corridors following Nu's directions. Alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. More soldiers appeared, but Ho moved through them like a storm. His training made him fast and deadly. Every shot found its target. They reached cell block 9 and found 3 heavy doors. Behind the first door, Princess sat on a cold floor. She was thin and dirty, her eyes hollow. When she saw her mother, she started crying. "Mama!" Queen rushed forward and held her daughter tight. "I am here. I came for you." Behind the other doors, they found Cora. All 3 princesses were alive but terrified. Ho knelt down to their level. "Can you run?" he asked gently. The oldest princess nodded. "We can run." "Good, stay close to your mother. We are leaving." But as they started back toward the hangar, the corridor ahead filled with soldiers. Behind them, more enemies appeared. They were trapped. Heavy metal doors began closing, sealing the hallway into a cage. Overlord's voice came through speakers in the ceiling. "Did you really think this would work, human? I knew someone would try to rescue the princesses. I have been waiting for you." Gravity generators activated, making everyone feel 3 times heavier. Automated turrets dropped from the ceiling. 50 soldiers raised their weapons. Ho looked at the situation and made a decision that would change everything. "Wu Jin," he said calmly, "get them out. There is a maintenance shaft behind us. Nuck and override the locks from the ship." "What are you going to do?" Wu Jin asked, though he already knew the answer. "I am going to buy you time." Ho checked his weapons and smiled. "Remember what I taught you. Move fast, hit hard, never stop." Queen grabbed his arm. "You cannot fight them all alone. You will die." "Maybe," Ho admitted, "but your daughters will live. That is what matters." He gently removed her hand. "Go, Your Majesty, protect them. That is your job now." Wu Jin forced the maintenance shaft open. The guards carried the princesses through. Queen hesitated, tears streaming down her face. Through her telepathy, she felt Ho's mind. He was not afraid of death. He was only afraid of failing to protect the children. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for being human." Then she was gone, climbing through the shaft with her daughters. Na sealed it behind them, making it impossible to follow. Ho stood alone in the corridor, facing impossible odds. The soldiers looked confident. One human against 50 trained fighters and automated weapons. They thought it would be easy. They were wrong. Ho moved before they could fire. He shot out the lights, plunging the corridor into darkness. His combat armor had night vision. Theirs did not. He became a ghost, striking from shadows and disappearing again. The first 10 soldiers fell before they understood what was happening. Ho used their bodies as shields and their weapons when his ran empty. He turned the automated turrets against them by hacking their targeting systems with tricks Na had taught him. He fought for 47 minutes. Every second he survived was another second for the Queen to escape. He used grenades to block corridors. He created traps with equipment lying around. He became every nightmare that had ever heard about human soldiers. But there were too many. Eventually, a lucky shot found him. Then another. Ho fell to one knee, bleeding from multiple wounds. More soldiers came, surrounding him. He raised his weapon one last time, but it was empty. Overlord appeared, watching from a safe distance. "Your queen escaped, human. You died for nothing." Ho smiled through the pain. "She escaped, that means I won." Outside, the Iron Will raced away with Queen and her daughters safe inside. But Na had done something before they fled. She had broadcast everything through hacked communications. The entire galaxy watched as one human fought alone against impossible odds to protect alien children he barely knew. They watched him fall. They watched him refuse to surrender. And they finally understood what made humans so dangerous. It was not their weapons or their ships. It was their willingness to sacrifice everything for those they chose to protect. In the fortress, Ho lost consciousness, not knowing that help was already coming. Ho woke up 3 days later in a medical facility. Everything hurt. He tried to move, but his body would not respond properly. Machines beeped around him, monitoring his injuries. For a moment, he panicked. Had he failed? Were the princesses safe? "Peace, human." A healer stood beside his bed. "You survived, though we are not sure how. You should be dead from your wounds." "The Queen," Ho managed to say. "Her daughters." "Safe. All 4 of them are safe, thanks to you." The healer checked his monitors. "Admiral Sangmin arrived with a human fleet shortly after you fell. They destroyed defenses and pulled you from the rubble. You are a hero, Lieutenant." Ho closed his eyes. The princesses were safe. Nothing else mattered. But the rest of the galaxy did not see it that way. When Ho was finally strong enough to receive visitors, he learned about the chaos his actions had caused. Ambassador Park came first, looking tired and angry. "You are being court-martialed," she said without greeting. "Unauthorized military action, theft of intelligence, violation of council protocols. The list is very long, Ho." "I understand," he replied quietly. "Do you?" Park sat down heavily. "Earth's relationship with the Galactic Council is damaged. Other species are afraid now. They watched you tear through that fortress alone. They wonder what humans might do next." She paused. "But they also watched you sacrifice yourself for alien children. Public opinion is divided. Some call you a hero, others call you a dangerous rogue." "What about the princesses?" Ho asked. Park's expression softened slightly. "That is the complicated part. They will not talk to anyone, not healers, not their mother's advisors. They just sit in their rooms and stare at walls." "They are traumatized," Ho said. "Kidnapping does that to children." Queen asked if you would try talking to them. She thinks you might help. Ho struggled to sit up despite the pain. "When can I see them?" The royal palace was beautiful, all white stone and flowing water. But Ho barely noticed as guards escorted him to the princess's chambers. He still wore medical braces and walked with a limp. Princess sat by a window, looking out at the gardens but seeing nothing. She was 12 years old in human terms, thin and fragile. When Ho entered, she did not turn around. "Hello," he said softly. "My name is Ho. I am the human who helped rescue you." "I know who you are," she whispered. "I watched you fight on the screens. You were bleeding, but you would not stop. I made a promise to your mother. I keep my promises." Finally turned to look at him. "Why, you don't know us. We are not even the same species. Why would you almost die for strangers?" Ho sat down carefully, his injuries making movement difficult. "When I was young, my sister was taken by bad people. I was too small to help. Adults talked and planned and debated what to do. By the time they decided to act, it was too late. I never saw her again." Tears filled his eyes. "I am sorry." "I am sorry too, but I learned something from that pain. I learned that talking does not save people. Action saves people. When your mother asked for help, I did not want to debate or plan. I just wanted to bring you home." "I was so scared," admitted. "They kept us in dark rooms. They said our mother did not care enough to save us. They said we would die alone." "But you did not die," Ho said gently. "You are home. You are safe. And what those criminals said was lies. Your mother cared so much that she was willing to sacrifice herself for you." Over the following weeks, Ho visited all 3 princesses, was 10 and had nightmares every night. Ho taught her breathing exercises human soldiers used to calm fear. Cora was only 8 and refused to eat. Ho sat with her during meals, talking about normal things like favorite foods and silly stories until she slowly started eating again. Queen watched these interactions with wonder. Her own species had telepathy and advanced medicine, but they did not understand trauma the way humans did. Humans had been fighting and surviving and healing from violence for their entire history. They knew pain intimately. But while Ho helped her daughters heal, Queen faced her own crisis. The noble houses were furious. They said she had shown weakness by asking aliens for help. They said humans were dangerous and unpredictable. Some demanded she banish Ho from their world. The Queen called a meeting of all the noble houses. Hundreds of leaders gathered in the Great Hall. They expected her to apologize and promise to follow traditional methods in the future. Instead, Queen stood before them with Ho at her side. "My daughters were kidnapped," she said, her voice clear and strong. "I asked our military for help. They said consensus would take months. I asked the Galactic Council for help. They said politics prevented action. I asked this human for help. He said yes immediately and asked for nothing in return." The nobles muttered among themselves. One stood up. "He violated every protocol and treaty. His actions were reckless." His actions saved my daughter's lives, the Queen replied. While you debated procedure, they suffered in darkness. While you worried about politics, this human shed his blood to bring them home. She paused. I have made a decision. I am creating a new position. Royal Protector. Lieutenant Ho will be the first to hold this title. The hall exploded with shouts of protest. Such a position had never existed. It had certainly never been given to an alien. You cannot do this, several nobles yelled. I am your queen, said coldly. I can do exactly this. For 300 years we have hidden behind our traditions while the galaxy became more dangerous. My daughters paid the price for our isolation. No more. She looked at Ho. Do you accept this position? Ho thought about what it meant. He would have to leave Earth's military. He would live on an alien world, away from his own people. His career as a human soldier would end. But he looked at and Cora standing with their mother. 3 children who smiled now instead of crying. 3 children who could sleep without nightmares because they knew someone would protect them. I accept, he said. In the back of the hall, the guards who had watched Ho fight on began to clap. Slowly, others joined them. Not all the nobles agreed, but they could not deny the truth. This human had done what none of them could do. Later, Queen found Ho standing alone on a balcony, looking up at the stars. Do you regret your choice? She asked. No, he said honestly. I finally understand what I have been searching for, purpose. Not just fighting battles, but protecting people who need help. The Queen felt his sincerity through her telepathy. You humans are so strange. You build weapons that could destroy planets, but you use them to protect strangers. You act like predators but think like guardians. Maybe that is why the galaxy needs us, Ho suggested. Someone has to care enough to act when others will not. Queen smiled. Then I am grateful humans exist, and I am grateful you exist, Ho. My daughters have their mother again because you refused to accept the impossible. Above them, Earth's ships flew in formation with vessels, practicing joint maneuvers. A new alliance was forming, and it all started because one human decided that 3 scared children mattered more than politics or personal safety. 6 months passed. Ho stood in the royal training grounds, watching young soldiers practice combat maneuvers. He had been teaching them human tactics, and they were learning quickly. The students moved differently now, with more aggression and creativity. They are improving, Queen said, walking up beside him. Though some of the older generals disapprove of your methods. Let them disapprove, Ho replied with a slight smile. Results matter more than tradition. But the peace they had built was fragile. Intelligence reports showed the syndicate rebuilding their strength. They were angry about their defeat and wanted revenge. More importantly, Overlord had survived and was planning something big. The news came through official channels. Both Earth and the had received threats. They would attack both worlds simultaneously as punishment for interfering in their business. The message included recordings of massive fleets gathering in the shattered reach. General Yang Han, the leader of Earth's military, arrived with a battle group. He was an old man with sharp eyes and a reputation for winning impossible battles. He met with Queen and Ho in the palace war room. We have 2 options, the general said, studying tactical displays. Defend our and wait for the attack, or strike first and destroy the before they launch. If we wait, innocent people will die, Ho said. The target civilians to create fear. Queen nodded. Then we strike first, but the stronghold is even more fortified than was. How do we breach it? We don't do it alone, General Han replied. He gestured to the display showing dozens of ships. A combined force, humans and working together. 50 human ships and 200 vessels, the largest joint operation in history. Counselor Bora Shin, a human diplomat, raised concerns. If this fails, if we lose ships attacking, the public opinion will turn against the alliance. Some people already fear that humans and together are too powerful. Then we do not fail, Ho said simply. Planning took 3 weeks. Ho would lead the ground assault with a mixed force of human soldiers and warriors. Wu Jin would command the space battle. Nu designed new weapons that combined human engineering with energy technology. The result was devastating. Admiral Sang-min, who had rescued Ho from, would coordinate the entire operation from his flagship. "This is ambitious," he admitted during the final briefing. "We are attacking this main base with everything we have. If they win, both our civilizations will be vulnerable." "They will not win," Queen said with certainty. "Not this time." On the day of the attack, the combined fleet jumped into the shattered reach. The stronghold was a massive station, bigger than a small moon. Hundreds of pirate ships defended it, but they were not ready for what came next. Human ships moved with speed and aggression, drawing enemy fire. Vessels used their superior shields to protect the human ships while their telepathic crews coordinated perfectly. It was a dance of two very different fighting styles that somehow worked together beautifully. Wu Jin's voice came over communications, calm despite the chaos. "Shields down on the station's north side. Ground teams, you are clear for insertion." Ho led his strike force through the breach. 50 humans and 200 boarded the enemy station. They had thousands of defenders, but numbers did not matter anymore. The combined force moved through corridors like a storm. Human soldiers hit hard and fast, using tactics that confused the enemy. Warriors followed, using their telepathy to anticipate enemy movements and coordinate perfectly. What would have taken hours took minutes. What should have been impossible became inevitable. Deep in the station, Ho finally found Overlord. The leader stood in his command center, surrounded by his best guards. He looked at Ho with hatred. "You should have died at human," snarled. "I almost did," Ho admitted. "But you made a mistake. You hurt children, and humans do not forgive that." The fight was brief and brutal. His guards were skilled, but they had never faced someone like Ho. Someone who had been trained by the best, who had survived impossible odds, who fought with purpose instead of just for survival. When it ended, was on his knees, defeated but alive. "Kill me," the Overlord demanded. "That is what your kind does, is it not? You kill your enemies." Ho looked down at him. "My kind protects the innocent and punishes the guilty. You will stand trial for your crimes. That is justice, not revenge." Queen entered the command center, her royal guards around her. She looked at with cold eyes. "You took my daughters. You threatened my people, but I will not lower myself to your level. You will face law." The battle was over in 3 hours. The Syndicate, which had terrorized the galaxy for decades, was destroyed. The surviving pirates surrendered when they realized they were beaten. The combined fleet had lost ships and soldiers, but they had won. News of the victory spread across the galaxy. Other species watched the recordings with mixed feelings. Some were impressed by the efficiency. Others were frightened by how powerful humans were when they worked together. A formal alliance treaty was signed 2 months later. Earth and the Empire became partners, agreeing to defend each other and share technology. It was historic. 2 species that had barely known each other were now united. But the real celebration happened in the palace. Princess, now more confident and strong, announced her decision to study on Earth. "I want to learn about the people who saved us," she told her mother. "I want to understand humans better." Queen felt proud but also sad. Her daughter was growing up, becoming brave enough to explore an alien world. "You will be the first royal to live among humans," she said. "I know," replied. "But Ho taught me that being first does not matter. What matters is doing what is right, even when it is scary." That evening, Ho stood on the palace balcony with Queen, watching the sunset. Human ships and vessels flew in perfect formation overhead, practicing for joint missions. It was a symbol of what was possible when different people worked together. "You changed everything," the Queen said softly. One human who refused to accept no for an answer, who saw children in danger and acted without hesitation. Because of you, two civilizations are united. I just did what needed to be done, Ho replied. Any human would have done the same. No, Queen said firmly. Not anyone. You are special, Ho. Your species is special. You feel emotions so deeply that you would die to protect strangers. The galaxy has always feared human passion, but I have learned that passion is your greatest strength. You care so much that you become unstoppable. Ho thought about his sister, lost so many years ago. He thought about and Cora, who were alive and healing. Maybe that was the real purpose of all his pain, to turn suffering into strength, to use his failures to prevent others from experiencing the same loss. What happens now? He asked. Queen smiled. Now we build something better, a galaxy where asking for help is not weakness, where different species work together instead of staying separate, where children can grow up without fear. She looked at him. And you, royal protector, will train the next generation, humans and learning from each other, creating something neither species could create alone. Below them in the palace gardens, the three princesses played together, laughing and happy. They were safe. They were home. And they would grow up in a galaxy that was a little bit safer because one human had refused to let them die alone. Ho watched them and felt peace. This was why humans existed in the galaxy, not to conquer or dominate, but to protect, to care, to act when others would not. That was the human way, and it was enough.